Hey guys, welcome back to X and Comics. Sorry about that if you saw that first one. Anyway, we're here to review the movie Ad Astra. We're just going to do it live. It's a lot easier. Joel from Gone with the
Thanks for having
Twins
me.
is here. Mr. Film Critic. Hey, Brian. Sorry about that. And, of course, me, Bill, Economics and Comics. I got to see Ad Astra with Joel and Gone with the Twins, and it was a closed theater. There weren't very many people there. It was
press only.
Press only, and pretty interesting.
It's another film that it has deceptive marketing.
Oh yeah, the previews
it makes it appear as if you're going to see an sci-fi action movie, but it is
space
not.
Action. No,
it is very much a contemplative sci-fi drama mystery, maybe. But while there are sparse moments of violence and action, it is not an action movie at all.
Very small amount.
If you want to do the basic premise, if you're not familiar with what this is, Brad Pitt is an astronaut. The setting is in the near future. He is his father, played by Tommy Lee Jones, is the most decorated astronaut in the history of the program, and he was sent on this what was it called? It was called the Lima Project.
The Lima Project.
And what it was is they're sending them out a spaceship out to Neptune, and this is, I don't know how realistic this is, but apparently
Neptune or Saturn. I mean, they both have rings.
Once you get to Neptune, supposedly you're out of the reach of the interference from the sun. So then they're able to theoretically search the galaxy.
Probably
pretty much everything you could possibly ever see.
For life.
They're looking for intelligent. They're looking for intelligent life. So, anyways, his father goes out there and does that and disappears.
Who's Tommy Lee Jones, by the way.
And then many years later, now they have Brad Pitt as the son, who is now also a decorated astronaut. He is commissioned to go out there, and
he's like a military astronaut. He's definitely military.
What happens is there are giant electrical surges hitting the Earth, and it's causing a lot of death and destruction. And they believe it is caused by this Lima project that Tommy Lee Jones,
which is like a space station type of thing.
Built out that's traveled out to Neptune. And so
Brad Pitt, like an antimatter machine or
that's just what it's powered by, I believe.
But it was like a dish, though. It was like a satellite dish.
A little bit, yeah. Well, the idea is once they're there, then they'll be able to scan the rest of the galaxy for life. But Brad Pitt's mission is to go out there and find his father. I don't want to give away too many spoilers, but that's the basic premise.
But they do say this is in the near future. And my estimate would be maybe 150, 200 years from now.
It's actually, and as we discussed earlier, it's difficult to tell exactly how far into the future this is, because they very much mixed the 70s sci-fi motifs, 80s sci-fi motifs, and then only slightly futuristic in certain degrees. Costume-wise, everything is pretty modern.
That's one of the big flaws in the movie, is to be able to have, bases on the moon. You travel to the moon is normal. Well, not super normal, but people go travel the moon like a vacation, almost like Total Recall, and like Mars.
Except that the moon isn't safe. It's only certain areas of the moon are safe, and the rest of it's like the Wild West.
Yeah, so because it's like a mineral thing.
Yeah, it's maybe sort of early moon exploration at this point.
But they've already settled Mars too.
Yeah, they've already put some stuff on Mars too.
So we're looking at a couple hundred years.
Yeah.
The main problem with this movie is that they've colonized these areas where it's safe to be underground and stuff like that. Yet they're still using rockets to get into space. There's a moon battle.
Using moon dune buggies.
They're still on the 1969 moon buggy on the moon battle. I mean, maybe possibly a little bit upgraded, but you would think that after this long, some of the things. I mean, they do have some advanced tech, but they're still using the old tech from 200 years ago.
So it's very distracting, I would say. Just this mix of old and new, and they even give hints. They say that it's almost like a commercial flight to the moon, and he asks for a blanket and a pillow, and they say that'll be $150.
That was dumb.
Yeah. So, but I mean, what that does is it sets a precedent as to how far into the future would this actually be, and then logically it would have to be even further in the future than that. So
Crypto Stock says sounds like the budget would be low. I don't know. I think that was a big budget and it just blew it. You know what's funny?
The cast is very
Brad Pitt, to pay money
Tommy
for the
Lee
cast.
Jones, Donald Sutherland's in it, Liv Tyler. It's Ruth Negga. So there's a big cast. There's only brief moments of maybe big sci-fi special effects going on, but it doesn't look like they've really spared much in the budget.
Brad Pitt's the main character. It's just basically him talking to himself the whole time. I mean,
environment-wise, it's pretty.
It's beautiful.
The scope is impressive.
It's nice.
There's just not a battle every 5
There's
seconds.
so many unbelievable things though, and because when you're dealing with space, you want to try to be accurate. And I'm not a scientist by any means, but some of the stuff they're doing was pretty ridiculous. It's interesting. What bothered me is all these, like we're talking about how it's in the future, but it's so basic now.
Yeah.
And like the part when here's another thing that bothers me, and mentioned it, was the $150 for the pillow. Dude, if you're going to space, everything's free, dude. You've paid your ticket. You're not paying for a pillow. But, it kind of starts off with him working on a giant antenna. Yeah. It's actually reaching space, and he's on top of it. And that's kind of where it shows the shock waves starting to destroy things. And, but Brian, I don't think they had to pay the actors very much, because every other main character that we know that's pretty popular, they had about 1 minute scene. So Brad Pitt was the main money focus, I think. But
I think they put a lot of the money into the visual aspects of space, but not so much like the space stations look great. The space ships look pretty good. There's not really too many action sequences or anything like that.
But the space stations 200 years from now and all that, and I guess it's probably going to look the same. They're like our space stations now.
Yeah, this movie visually is not even more advanced than like Gravity.
It's not like Blade Runner.
Yeah, it's not like Blade Runner or Star Wars or things like that.
Or Gravity, but at least in Gravity you can grasp a concept because it's not far in the future. It's like realistic to now. But if you're saying in the distant future and you've colonized Mars and you colonize, to a point, and you trips to the moon, and you can go all the way to, like, they went from moon to Mars in 19 days.
Yeah.
So they have tech now, like some sort of pulse, whatever technology or whatever, to get places faster.
At the point that you can realistically get to Mars in 29 days or 19 days or whatever
19.
It was, the technology is so advanced.
You're not going in a rocket. Still.
Also, the space suits wouldn't look like that either.
Even I bet the spacesuits now are better than those. I'm willing to bet they're better. Yeah. So
I think I guess to defend it a little bit, I would say they're purposely showing you familiar space tropes like the suits and the space station and all that stuff, so that maybe that you buy into it a little easier than if they're showing you like Star Wars level stuff and then you're just thinking, well, this is totally fantastical. But the other aspect too would be so that you can, the idea is that it's not to distract you from the core drama of the film. Now, it worked in reverse for you because all those space elements did distract you.
But I think they probably a lot in 2019.
Yeah.
But, and there's another point to make. It's kind of drawn out, dramatic. He's sent after his father because his father's on a mission to communicate with other life, if possible, in the outskirts of where we can see, I guess. And they think that he's betrayed them and he's trying to destroy the Earth or whatever. So he's got this conflict. He's thought his dad was dead, and he's going to find them, and they're using him. Then he has to, fight.
He had a very complicated relationship with his father in the first place.
Because his dad left when he was a kid because he went to Jupiter or whatever.
And he blames that on his inability to connect with other people. So his girlfriend or wife, Liv Tyler, who's only in it for a fleeting moment, but supposedly that relationship has been strained as well. So.
Yeah, so they kind
of... The movie is not about space at all. It is about...
It's a father and son.
It's about letting go of the past is what the overarching theme is.
That's you're right.
But it's also about trying to,
connect.
It's about being okay with his strained relationships by letting go of the past.
What's interesting? I can kind of compare it to someone that never met their real parent, and they're okay with it after they've grown up, and then they find out that they can see their real parent, and so they go to see him, and then the parent really has nothing wants to do with them anymore. Yeah. And then you have to disconnect again and let go again. That you're right. That's exactly what the movie's
thing
about.
Is that the movie is about that.
That's correct.
And it's kind of masked by this space element, by a mystery theme, moments of suspense, moments of action.
A lot of unbelievable stuff.
But at its core, that is what it's about. And so perhaps all the rest of it is extraneous and distracting.
So yeah, that's the thing. We were talking about this earlier. Like, there are some scenes that are, some action, very small action scenes, but they're like paced every 20 minutes throughout the movie, because the movie's pretty much drawn out and boring. I got to be honest.
It's a deliberate brooding film.
Yeah, but they throw in these little pieces of insignificant action that really have nothing to do with the film.
Yeah, to me, it's a very
keep you alive.
It's a very conflicted tone, because James Gray, the director, he's trying to tell you this very contemplative sci-fi story about family, and he's inserting every 20, 25 minutes kind of a moment of action or a moment of suspense or a moment of violence, and it doesn't feel like it belongs. He's doing that most likely to keep the pace going, or to keep the momentum going, but it does feel tonally conflicted.
I wonder if he has like an awkward relationship with his father, and this is him getting it out, or never knew his father.
If I'm not mistaken, he is the writer and director, so
that's
this
what
is
I'm
his
saying.
Story.
So, and just to throw in a little jazz, what other movies were we talking he did?
Oh, he did a lot of 80s gangster movies.
Oh yeah,
like
I remember.
Little Odessa and The Yards.
Yeah, this is totally different, but there's some unbelievable parts, like Asteroid Fields. He like flies through he flies through an asteroid field, like he's jetpacking from one thing to one shuttle space station to a ship, and he goes to the asteroid field with a little piece of like a air conditioning grill or something, going through the asteroids, and they're minor asteroids, of course.
What it is the rings of Neptune. And
yeah,
I don't know what that's made of.
Now I don't know if they are non-moving, but I think everything moves in space. So these things are probably going 15,000 miles an hour or something, and they're not moving. He's just going right through them like nothing. It's just some of the stuff, man.
Well,
all of it,
as you mentioned too, he's kind of given this invincibility, this more than human strength throughout the whole thing. Nobody seems to be able to stop him.
Brad Pitt for his mission. It's like James Bond in space. Not as interesting as James Bond.
Well, it's not an action film at all.
Yeah, so. But he's,
If anything, the way the movie starts is more appealing, because it's somewhat of a mystery. What did his father do? Why is his father missing? And it starts as sort of a sci-fi mystery. And I dig that.
With some action.
Enjoy that. Yeah, a little bit.
Right, to me, it's some excitement, Yeah. But it just... They can't keep up with the beginning.
They can't. Yeah, they can't keep that story. That the momentum doesn't stay, and I think maybe that's why the director felt like he had to put these
little
moments of just to try and push the story forward. But
so many.
It's one of those films.
Oh, it's not the main focus, but you're surrounded by it. When you're in space, you're surrounded by sci-fi. It's just
It's one of those films that the mystery is interesting, that aspect of it, but solving it isn't as fun. That's what I think.
Well, yeah, you get there and you find, we don't give away everything, but I mean, yeah, it's definitely a father-son story.
Yeah.
Reconnecting.
The conclusion I felt slowed way down and didn't give you the payoff necessary to keep a movie that, tedious, and it's calculated.
I think at the end, it's important. They're trying to say, besides the father and son connection, that, we're always in search for all this other life, and we're not concentrating on life at home itself.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where it ends.
There's some interesting messages in there. But
yeah,
I think a lot of people are going to go into it expecting Interstellar.
Action, yeah,
either action or Interstellar Part 2, and it's not those things at all.
I didn't go into it thinking Interstellar at all, but I definitely went in it thinking, we're going to have a little space adventure here.
Yeah.
And it'll be cool, but it was not that. I mean,
it's actually a little closer to something like Solaris with George Clooney, where it was
more. Oh yeah, that's right.
Where it's a kind of a long, drawn out, methodical sort of sci-fi drama with only moments of suspense in there. But
well, anyway, so it's not what you expected. To me, it's a wait till it comes out on HBO. That's what me. I don't want to hurt these people.
Yeah,
but it's just
it's almost for. It's hard to say that it's for hardcore sci-fi fans, because that's not really what it is at heart.
They break too many laws of space.
Yeah, as you were mentioning, Neil deGrasse Tyson would.
I can't wait till he tweets, because he will tweet about it after he sees it. So get signed up to Twitter or whatever with Neil deGrasse. See what he says about it. But
I think these kind of sci-fi dramas, sci-fi mysteries are so rare that it's fun to see this genre in general. But the problem is that I think expectations will hurt it a lot.
I was hoping to see aliens.
It's not Gravity. It's not aliens. It's not.
Weren't you hoping to see an alien? Like why he went all the way? Why is
I thought at kind of midway through the movie, I thought it was going to turn into that Jake Gyllenhaal movie where they find Venom in space. Remember I thought it was going to go that direction.
That movie's connected to Venom. It very well could. But honestly, guys, myself, I would give it like a 3 out of 10. And the only reason I give it 3 is because there's some cool visuals, but there's so many unbelievable parts in it that in reality, and the timing's wrong and the equipment's wrong, and it's just wrong. So but it is nice to see space and different things. I love that stuff. And Joel, give it a number or no?
I can give it a number.
Yeah,
maybe. I don't know. So for me, the technical aspect, the believability of the space aspect didn't distract too much.
It bothered me.
Yeah, it definitely bothered you. But for me, I kind of was able to look past that a little bit. Probably because I've seen so many 2001: A Space Odyssey type movies and other, even Gravity, other films that maybe Gravity is a bad example, but other films that play around with that concept of what is it going to look like in the future, and they hold back, they restrain
that's
themselves
the thing,
from going too
Blade
far.
Runner is too far in the future. Like the tech is way beyond. Like it's 2019, so it's like no, that's wrong. We're not flying around flying cars. But in this case, I mean, people are being born on Mars. Yeah. They've been there for a while. We're looking at a couple hundred years, maybe more. And, they still go back to the original stuff. They'd be so much more far advanced, at least in the vehicles to get them into space.
And the vehicles they're riding around on
different
Mars.
Things, yeah. And it's funny. I know we keep going. It's so stupid, but why not? So it's funny. He's in this thing with some astronauts flying from the moon to Mars, and they're doing like the water thing, like where you do your drink and the other one catches it in their mouth. It's like, dude, after this long, that stuff is boring to you. I don't need to see a ball of water. Oh, I caught it. Oh, it's so fun. And dude, you guys are like going to space every day in this.
Yeah. Well, there's also a sequence near the end where he boards a rocket taking off, and it's that to me that Impossible. Point was it's just what is going on here. That's just not.
You open up a hatch while they're going into space, dude. All hell's gonna break loose. There's so many things that are wrong with this movie. I think the Astra field's absolute worst part. But
it's one of those movies that suffers in the way that something like The Martian didn't, where The Martian tries so hard to be believable and
that
be
is
realistic.
Believable.
Yeah, and this movie almost doesn't care at all because the focus is not about that, but at the same time, it is hard maybe for that not to be distracting. So that's definitely something that's a deterrent for.
Hey, well, they weren't super accurate, but there was a couple messages in it. It's a
heartwarming story.
Well, not really.
It's actually a very pessimistic, dark take on humanity and what we're doing to ourselves and our loved ones and our lives and everything. Yeah, it's.
I think the main message, though, honestly, was to stop looking everywhere else for and look what we have now. And that could be even a global message about Earth, like, oh, we're all trying to find planets where we can live. I mean, this was in search for alien intelligence, but
it's certainly an underlying theme is to say, why are we looking to the stars when we have everything we need right here?
And that's what the title is. Ad Astra means to the stars. So we'll finish it with that. Thanks again, Joel. Thanks, guys, for watching. I know it's kind of late, but we wanted to get it out there. And we'll see you next time. I don't know what's next. Hopefully it's Rambo. I want to be able to give a thumbs up.
And the Joker's coming.
So best movie ever. I can't wait for the Joker. All right, you guys. I hope you had fun. We'll see you next time. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you.